Hello, and welcome to Community, a broadcast of Churches Outreach Network in cooperation with the Pitt County Interfaith Clergy. I am your host for today, Eve Rogers, pastor of New Dimensions Community Church here in Greenville, North Carolina. And I am so excited for our program today and the guests that we will be talking with. So I'm glad that you are viewing this broadcast. You are going to be stirred to excitement about some great things that are going on and that are coming soon in our communities. I'd like to welcome at this time to our broadcast today. First of all, we have Mrs. Gwen Green, who is the president of the Greenville Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. Also, we have joining us Miss Elizabeth Blount, who is the first vice president of the Greenville Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. Both very esteemed women and precious sisters of mine, I want to add immediately in this great sorority. Welcome, Elizabeth. Welcome, Gwen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us this morning.
You are so welcome.
Absolutely our pleasure to be here this morning and to really participate in letting the community know that we're still here and we're still working.
Okay, we're going to get into this.
Yes.
We have a few minutes, a few extended minutes that we are going to talk about Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. It's a Greek letter organization. It's a sorority of national and international presence and prominence. Would you please begin to share with us before we get to an event that's coming up on the 29th of June that we have heard about in years past, but we are even more excited each year. And so we're going to be talking about in more depth in just a few minutes the Red Hat Gospel Brunch.
Yes.
Woo!
Yes.
And I said to our president, Miss Blount, that she should have brought me a hat to wear today. But that's okay. We'll save it until the 29th of June. But first, President Green, may we share with our audience today about Delta Sigma Theta. We are familiar with it, and many are, but will you just tell us about that great presence and prominence that the sorority as a whole has, but then also focus on some of the things we're doing in the Greenville Alumni Chapter?
Well, I'm certainly glad to do that. As you know, this is an organization of college-educated women. We've been around for 106 years.
Yes.
Our founders were very visionary in that even as college women, they were activists, they were advocates. And so they stepped out and really challenged, if you will, the status quo. They wanted to do things that were really about advocating for people who had less. To be that force, if you will, and to move things forward. We talk about Delta Sigma Theta sorority in terms of our 5-point programmatic thrust. That when we look at, if you will, serving the community, we look at it in terms of educational development, economic development. We talk about things like physical and mental health. So critical in a community such as Greenville, as we all know. I think that's one of the things that we want to highlight even today as we talk about the upcoming event. And then we also have international awareness and involvement, and really the cornerstone of all that we do has to do with political action and awareness. Because unless we begin to really address the issues, sometimes at a higher level than within and amongst ourselves, and to get that influence and the impact coming from our governing bodies, then very little happens. And so we want to bring those kind of things to the attention of many. Delta is a movement that began in 1913.
Yes.
It continues today. We have over 250,000 women who have come through and become members of Delta Sigma Theta sorority. I'm sitting here today with two of the greatest Deltas that one could imagine.
You're kind.
Yourself, with Elizabeth, because you understand the need in our community, that it's about service. So often I quote that to whom much is given, much is required.
That's scripture.
Yes.
Yes.
And as we
So
all
it
know,
is so.
yes, as we all know, Deltas were the organization itself was founded on Christian principles, and we move forward with things that our founders have left us with, our 9 jewels that talk about compassion, that talk about courtesy, that talk about justice, that talk about temperance. These are the things that guide us as we move forward in this community. And so we hope to continue, we will continue. That's because right. As we wake up every morning, we realize and recognize that we have an obligation to serve this community and all of its people.
It sounds like, indeed, service.
Yes.
Beginning within the home, well, first of all, beginning within the heart,
yes.
the home, our local communities, and the broader region, the broader nation,
yes.
and the world.
That's yes. right.
So Delta Sigma Theta is more than, some people may think of it, and other sororities and fraternities, as merely social organizations, yes. that you get together and you have a good time. Well, we do enjoy fellowship.
Yes.
But it is much more than that.
Yes.
Could you share with us, and please chime in, Sister Elizabeth, okay. Some of the things that our local chapter have done in the past that brings to bear those areas that you're talking about: economic development, health care, political astuteness and awareness.
Okay.
Some of the things that we have done as far as political awareness, of course, we're always participating in our forums. When we have our candidates that are running for office, we want to make sure that our community is informed,
yes.
understanding what their platform is, what they stand for, how they're going to represent us, Eastern North Carolina. So we make sure that we have the information, that people in the community know that they're able to ask the questions, sometimes the hard questions to our candidates, but at least to let them know we are politically aware of what's going on in that area. So we do want to have those opportunities for our community to come out and actually speak and talk with and dialogue with our candidates. We also want to make sure that we are strong about our voter registration.
Yes, that was the next point on my mind.
Yes, we are very, very big advocates of registering people to vote and understanding their right to vote, understanding that it is their responsibility to vote. And then if they need to get away to vote, we'll make sure that that happens as well.
Absolutely.
So it's education about voting, it's awareness about how important it is. And so we not only just do it with the ones that are of age right now, we're looking at our young people, making sure that they understand at an early age that it is their responsibility.
Yeah, and began to cause them to become civic-minded.
Yes.
So that when they do have the legal right to cast vote, then they are gung-ho about it, and they will seize those opportunities that the sorority and other organizations in our communities also present for them to become educated about the particular candidates, about the issues that are affecting them personally, or them as a segment of the population, as well as the general area of Eastern North Carolina and beyond.
Yes,
absolutely.
Amen. Definitely.
We recently tell them about our recent Male Youth Summit that really involved young men, bringing them before our civic leaders. I mean, all the people that we had there who were in front of our young people, our young men, talking to them about not only what they've come through in their roles as mayor, as Senator Don Davis was there, Mayor P.J. Connolly was there, just so many of the leaders in Greenville were there to speak to our young people, our young males, about government, politics, and their responsibility as community leaders of the future and really of now, of the things that they will encounter and the ways that they can go about making a difference. Sorry to interrupt, Julie. I just get so excited sometimes.
So our president was alluding to, of course, Delta Sigma Theta on a national level has a program called Embody, empowering males to build opportunities to develop independence.
That is absolutely phenomenal and wonderful. The sorority is a female-based
It is.
organization.
It is.
However, because we as women are carriers of life,
Yes.
God has so ordained from the beginning that we should be the carriers and the deliverers of
Yes.
life. Then we must include our boys
males.
and our young
Exactly.
men
Yes.
and the whole shebang in all that we do to
Yes.
better their lives.
Exactly.
Go on, Dolly.
So we joined together with a fraternity, Omega Psi Phi, and we collaborated together to have this program. And one of the things that we really were adamant about having was a male summit. And so it involved young men between the ages of 11 to 18 in Pitt County to come to this summit that talked about the importance of government, talked about voting, talked about political stance. And as President Gwen talked about, we had our mayor, P.J. Conley, to come and speak. Senator Don Davis was our keynote speaker. District Attorney Ferris Dixon was there also to speak. Of course, this was in collaboration with the city of Greenville. So our city manager, Ann Walls, was there. Our chief of police was coming. We just ended a little earlier, but he was willing to come and just talk to these young men and just really enlighten them as to what is the government doing in Pitt County, what is the government doing in Greenville, and how can they be involved? What's the knowledge that they need to know as they're in these early stages, so that when they get to the age that they can vote, they're having the knowledge to vote and understand what they're voting for. So it was a great program. This is something that we hope to do every year, and to just have more and more young men come out and empowering them to build that independence as a registered, we're calling them registered now, registered voters.
Yes.
Awesome,
And in addition to all of that, we also had the parents there because, as we all know, children, young people, need that support from their parents. And the knowledge that the young people were getting was also shared with their parents. As Representative Candy Smith, she was there along with Judge Hazelton. Were also there speaking with the parents about, their responsibilities and their duties and their opportunities. And again, it was all about really empowering not only our young people, but also their parents.
That's
Absolutely, absolutely. That leads into my next question, a point, the value of partnerships, not only locally, but throughout, the value of coming together and working together, identifying like needs, and
Yes.
but also seizing like opportunities. And that requires partnerships.
Absolutely.
First of all, within the family.
Yes.
Yes.
The young people and their parents or guardians.
Yes, correct.
And then the broader community. Talk to me a little bit, President Gwen, about the value of partnerships. How do you see, with all the vast needs and all of the areas of concern and issues, but here again, I never want to forget the opportunities that are there for us to intervene and to have influence and to make impact in positive, constructive ways. How do you see the value of partnerships and different groups and different organizations and different peoples and segments of our community coming together?
Well, I think it's important that we build partnerships because, as you and I were speaking earlier, it's about impact. We can do our programming, but unless we partner with other like-minded organizations who are it's really about all of us focusing on the goal. And whether it be empowering our young people, where we partnered with not only the Omegas fraternity, but we also had young men from Kappa Alpha Psi's young men's group who also joined in with us at that Youth Male Summit. Now, when we talk about issues related to physical and mental health, we have gone out and we have been there and been a presence at domestic violence forums, so that people know that there are ways that we can assist. We may not be the counselors that victims may need, but we do have programming that might assist the children as they go through their stages and the emotional trauma that they're experiencing all of this. On a national level, Delta has partnered with everybody, I suspect. Not only the other sororities and fraternities, but national organizations that, and as you're aware of, that Delta is one of the only, I believe, non-governmental organizations that's represented at the United Nations. And so we go there on an annual basis to be there as a presence, but also as an organization speaking on those matters that are impacting on an international level. Delta is the organization that also goes on an annual basis to the Capitol for that same reason. But we partner with organizations like the American Red Cross. We partner with organizations like the National Council of Negro Women. We partner with the NAACP. At this point in time, there is no question that Delta is partnering with the HBCUs to strengthen the HBCUs throughout the nation, because we recognize and understand the education that young people get, our young African American youth going to college, that this is where they get foundational learning and experience, and they get the exposure. I know that Liz herself can speak to that very well. So often we have these conversations and not really competitions, but it's about where do we fit in? Where do we find like-minded organizations that are trying to impact lives? And that's who we partner with. Here locally, we work with the American Cancer Society. We work with Vidant Health. We were volunteers one Sunday morning not too long ago for the Children's Miracle Network. Loved it, because it's about doing what we can to challenge this community to support those who don't have, who may not be as fortunate. We walk around and we understand and we recognize we are blessed. And so it's responsibility to bless somebody else.
Absolutely. And perhaps those who have dreams.
Yes.
They have aspirations.
Those are the dreamers.
But they don't have a voice.
Right.
They don't have a hand to help them bring that to the forefront and to connect.
Yes.
I want to get into now this event that is coming up on Saturday, June the 29th.
Yes.
Our Red Hat Scholarship.
Yes.
right.
Gospel Brunch.
Yes.
That is power-packed.
Yes.
Would you begin to tell us about this event, when it started, and what is the purpose of it, especially as it relates to fundraising for scholarships?
This event is our 6th annual Red Hat Scholarship Gospel Brunch. So we've been doing this for over 6 years.
Yes.
And the primary purpose of it is to simply raise money for scholarships. We know that there are just a lot of needs of young people who have the desire to further their education. And so this is one avenue out of a lot, I'm sure, but this is one avenue where we as the sorority can give deserving scholarships to some of our seniors here in Pitt County.
Okay, expand on that part a bit. How do you identify those students?
Awesome. We do have an application process that goes through all our Pitt County schools, all our Pitt County high schools. And so seniors have the opportunity to apply. It's not necessarily based on need. It's just a simply fact that these young people take the time to fill out this application and write an essay, and we pick accordingly. I think this year was probably our biggest submittals. I think it was close to maybe 25, 30 young people that submitted. And because this is one of our primary ways of raising money for scholarships, we're able to give out 4 this year at this year's brunch. And we look forward to years to come to even give out even more.
Wow.
So that is the whole purpose of us having this gospel brunch, is to be able to raise the funds to be able to give to some deserving young people here in this area.
And how many scholarships do you give?
This year we're
normally?
giving out, it's
4?
between 2 to 4 on just this basis. But this year we're giving out 4. So we're excited about that.
Okay, more details about this gospel brunch.
Well,
what may we expect?
Oh, it's gonna be
Who's
awesome.
invited?
Come
How
on.
can we get there? We want the details.
Well, I think before we get there, I just want to expound upon you're talking about dreamers, because that's what we have been trying to do with our youth activities. We recognize and realize that young people, one of the blessings of being a part of this organization is that you can go and talk with these young people. And to be in a room of enthusiastic, intelligent young men and women, it just uplifts you. I just can't even, when you go in and one of the activities that they had when you talk about dreamers was to create a vision board. Now, in this process, these young women had these boards and they put all of these things up there.
Yes.
I was amazed. One young woman really projects that she's looking to have 4 careers. As she talked about developing her own hair care product line, her makeup line. She wanted to be an entrepreneur, wasn't really sure what she wanted to be an entrepreneur about, but she also wanted to be a singer and an actress, and she has the talent. That's the other part of it. And she has the drive and the will. And so to see this and hear this and to understand that we're trying to get our young people to really dream big.
Yes.
Dream big
Yes.
and not let your present circumstance define that dream. And so that's part of what we try to bring to our young people in all of the activities that we do. But we've got some outstanding talent that's coming into town on that particular Saturday. We're excited about it. We keep listening to them.
Yes.
But Liz is up close and personal with our woman of the hour that's going to be
Please
there.
give us those details so that the audience can know what they're in for.
Yes, so
and
you're
how
in
they
for
can
a
come.
treat this year. We always like to recognize our local talent. And so for our local talent this year, we have Elder LaQuan Rogers. And if anybody has come across this young man's path in any shape, form, or fashion, know he is a powerhouse.
Yes, he is.
And so he is our local talent, and he'll be opening up for us. And then we have the hilarious,
Absolutely.
just funny to the bone, Christian comedian Rod Allison. He
Wonderful.
is so funny, and we love him so much. We keep having him.
Keep bringing him back.
we keep bringing him back. He is just so funny. So if you want to talk about how laughter is good for the soul, you're gonna laugh at this year's Red Hat, definitely. So he's not only our comedian, but he's also our host for the event. And then our headliner. Our headliner is Miss Tasha Page Lockhart, who just got married this past Saturday. She is the season 6 for Sunday's Best winner. Yes. She is Stella Award winner a couple of times. I know she just recently won this year. And if anybody is familiar with her, she has sung one of her songs is Faith. Faith Come Alive and Over and Over. So she is just a dynamic speaker, anointed speaker, singer. And so we look forward to her just really bringing down the house on June 29th. So,
where will this event take place, and how may our viewers get in on this hilarious but very spiritually enriching affair as well?
Yes, it is going to be held at the Greenville Hilton on June 29th, beginning at 10 a.m. Doors were open at 9, and it is a ticketed event, so you would need to get your tickets. You could go to Eventbrite. If you look up 2019 Red Hat Gospel Brunch, it'll come up. You can go that way, or you can see one of the members of the Greenville Alumni Chapter, and we could get you a ticket that way. So you don't want to miss out, because this is going to be a sold-out event. We're also having vendors. We have local vendors and out-of-town vendors, some vendors as far as Georgia, with a wide variety of items. We have jewelry, we have custom-made handbags, we have, of course, Greek paraphernalia, clothing, apparel. It's just a plethora of things. So there's at least 10 vendors that's going to be there. So you're going to get entertained, you're going to laugh, you're going to get some awesome anointed music and food on top of that, and most importantly, fellowship, but all for a great cause, and that's to raise money for scholarships.
This is absolutely wonderful. We have only just a moment left. Just want to emphasize this Red Hat Scholarship Gospel Brunch, Saturday, June the 29th, and the time is 10 a.m. at the Greenville Hilton.
Yes.
We look forward to seeing you there, and everyone. Come and support. Not only will you be blessed and entertained and enjoy good food and fellowship, but you will help make the scholarship program stronger and more proficient with the Delta Sigma Theta sorority. So you will have an impact in helping to bless some young person's life as they move forward in their life's journey and successes. And we do declare success for all of our young people.
Yes.
This has been absolutely wonderful.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
for the
President
opportunity.
Gwen. Thank you, First Vice President Elizabeth, my sisters beloved. Thank you, and all of the Greenville Alumni Chapter for doing such a marvelous job with our Red Hat Scholarship Gospel Brunch and all of the other many services and programs that you do. Until next time on Community Insights, I'm your host, Pastor Eve Rogers. Be blessed.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.